All right. Welcome everybody and look at that. I got so wrapped up in everything, and this is supposed to be number 27, not number 26. Let me change that. There we go. Oops. God, zooks. There we go. What the heck? There we go. Oh man, off to a good start already, huh? All right. Episode 27. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
It's I got a broken chair that I'm sitting on. I got a title card that's not set up properly. What else is gonna go right? Last week we had
Live TV.
it's live TV. That's it. You got to put up with it. All right. Welcome to another edition of Learn Photography with Duck. As always, I am your host, Duck, and just a reminder. Um, uh, Bill's not here, but I've been, of course, promoting his Snappy Seniors open reception in Plainville on Tuesday, November 4th. So if you're available, it's nice. Go in, help support what these people are doing at the senior center. It's all cell phone photography, and they got some really, really creative people there. The North Haven Camera Club. I will be doing a presentation there on November 11th on portraiture. So I'll be doing a portrait workshop. Um, the North Haven Camera Club is a very active club. If you are looking to join an active club, hey, this is the one. Okay. And then, of course, the Art League of New Britain in December, I'll be doing a strobist workshop. And this is how to use how to have a small portable setup, speed light stand, modifier, and all the things that you can get out of just that simple kit. So that's coming Sunday, December 7th. So I just wanted to point those out. Okay. For tonight, what I got is I took the suggestion that Brian had last week of Nikki and Clyde Butcher. He said he saw some of their work, and he liked the idea of the hand coloring of images that Nikki was doing. Well, we're not going to be hand coloring on actual prints, but the next best thing will be coloring digitally. So I figure, I'll share some of the concepts that I've learned about how to color, and you can choose whichever method works best for you. Okay. All right.
Hey,
Um,
Doc,
yeah.
just a side thing about Clyde. I mentioned it briefly, but I notice our crowd tends to be older, and Clyde, he when you look at him, he can barely get around. He's one of those guy kind of needs canes, but
Yep.
more often than not, you'll see him up to his waist in the swamps,
Yeah.
with out where a normal person wouldn't be getting that photo, and it's an inspiration. So
Yeah.
if you ever get out to the website, you'll see him doing that kind of stuff, and
Oh yeah.
it's an
And
inspiration when I think about not going out.
let me tell you, back in the day, um, this is going back 6, 7, 8, 8 to 10 years ago, when photography forums were popular. I Let me tell you, I miss photography forums because they were a great community to share and to learn from. Most photography forums, and this is again going pre-COVID. They were starting to go on the decline, but they were set up with two major areas. One area was basically, hey, take a look at my photograph, give me your attaboys, pat me on the back, tell me I did a good job. All right. It was just to show off what you could do. And that's fine. If that's all you want to do is be content creating images, sharing it with your community and receiving attaboys, there was a space for that. But the benefit to a lot of these forums were the other side, where you would post an image and say, hey, I took this image, I struggled with this, can you give me an idea of how to overcome this? Or, or you would post, hey, I want to do X, Y, and Z. I'm not sure how to get there. This was my attempt. Can you guide me? And there were people on the forums, I was one of them, that would share our knowledge in order to get that photographer to the next level. And it took a little bit of guts to put yourself out there in a public forum. But a lot of us who were moderators, we made it a point that, if you're going to participate in this forum, there's a couple of rules. One, don't take anything anybody says personally, because they're here to help. And two, mind your P's and Q's. You were once a beginner, all right? So treat the beginners with respect. Don't belittle them for their lack of knowledge, all right? They're there to learn. Don't knock them down, So as long as, people could understand that, we had a great time. Well, that's a long preamble to say that there was a wide range of people that participated in these forums. The majority of them were not professional photographers. They were advanced amateurs like ourselves who, enjoy taking photographs, but we want to create those lasting memories, those awe-inspiring images that, people would look at it and go, wow, you must be a professional photographer. Well, no, I'm not, but thanks, attaboy. But anyway, there was, I wish I could remember the guy's name, but there was one photographer who was wheelchair bound. Okay. And I think he was in England, if memory serves. And all the pictures, all the photos he took, well, not all of them, the majority of the photos that he took were from his car window. And they were friggin' amazing. What he could do just by propping, he had a bean bag. He would lower the window to a certain level. He would flop the bean bag over the glass, rest his camera on it, and everything he shot was from what he could see from his car. And they were amazing. A lot of landscape stuff, some nature stuff. And it's because he was not mobile, So that's no excuse why you can't produce stuff. If somebody who is wheelchair bound can create that type of imagery, heck, those of us who have two good legs that can walk around, have no excuse. Okay. A friend of mine that is in the Connecticut PPA, she's legally blind. All right. She's legally blind and she's a photographer. Okay. She obviously, uses technology to, enhance what she does. Okay, she's able to uh, uh, use the screen on the back in order to be able to visually see what she has. I mean, she's not completely blind, obviously, but she has a vision impairment, and it's amazing what she does. You know, I have another friend that she was an artist, and she was legally blind, and what she could do, especially with her charcoals, was just friggin' phenomenal. You know, so a lot of people think handicaps. Oh, it's going to limit you. No, no. You just work around. Whatever handicap you have, you just work around it and find a way to do it. You know. So anyway, uh, all right. So today we're gonna jump on what Brian mentioned last week about those hand colored photographs. Okay, so my library of imagery is starting to dwindle. I got to get out there and start shooting more. So what I'm going to be using today is some images that I downloaded off of uh, Pixabay, which is a free image site. So none of these images are going to be mine. But what I want to do is I want to share several techniques of how you can color an image. Some are a little bit easier than others, right? But in the end, you can mix and match different techniques and see which ones work for you. Okay. All right. So without further ado, let me switch over to the desktop. Okay. And as you can see, I have a little bit of a selection of images, different stuff. I got architectural. I got some macro. I got some flowers. I got a moody scene, and I got this um, landscape. Okay. Actually, I wasn't going to, but let me pull up uh, Clyde uh, Butcher's website just to give an idea of. You said you like Nikki's hand colored stuff. Okay. And the one thing I noticed about her stuff is um, she tends to favor this teal green combination. Uh, you know, um, you'll see it a lot. Here it is, that the teal and pink, teal and pink. Yeah, teal and pink. All
If
right.
you're from Florida, you can appreciate it. And I have to say, for me personally, I've noticed that I was looking at my wardrobe as I was changing for the season that that green up there in the top is one of my. I have a lot of shirts and clothes like that color, so maybe that's what part of this is. But I do like the way that she works with those pastels, if you, I guess you could call them that.
Right. Yeah, and obviously she's found a style that works for her, uh, and keeping to that very simplistic palette gives her body of work a certain cohesion. Oh, my camera is on the studio. It should be on me. Okay. Um, so anytime you see her photos, it's got that pink and cyan, pink and teal. All right, it just screams, hey, this is a Nikki photo. you know Here's another one. um this is more pink and kind of like a light blue, but it's still within that spectrum.
And you know, another part of the fascination, like that one right there, it's in the middle on top there, the alligator alley. Hey, the next one there in the middle on top. Oh, wait, it went around somewhere. There it is with all the birds.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I own three originals of hers. You know, the signed
right.
originals. And so when I look at them, I go, "Oh, it'd be really cool to do that to some photograph sometime." You know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's part of that. But uh, yes, I have several of her original stuff around the house. I've
All
had it
right.
for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. So let's keep this in mind, okay? As we do this. All right. One of the things, well, one of the skills that you need to hone as a photographer is the ability to analyze somebody else's work and try to deconstruct it in order for you to be able to construct it yourself. And it could be, trying to decipher somebody's lighting configuration, how they lit the subject. It could be, their compositional choices. All right, and in this case, it's their editing technique. Um, and you'll find that there's a balance that you need. Um, one, to be able to look at an image and say, okay, uh, this was done here, this was done there. But in order to be able to determine that, you have to have an understanding of the tools that are going to get you that result. Okay. Um, so if you're lacking a little bit on the tools, you're going to struggle. Okay. But the nice thing about nowadays, being a world connected by the internet, is more than likely uh, you'll find some kind of video where the author is talking about their technique. So you might find something, where they're interviewing Nikki and she's talking about how she does her editing, all right? Or she may share a video of how she does her editing, okay? At best, maybe you'll find a different artist who figured out a way of, their way of achieving something similar, okay? Um, so that would be my first line of attack, is find out if there is any information on how this was done, because that could save you some time and effort. Okay. Uh, I'm not looking to duplicate her work, but I am willing to share, what I know about I'm gonna use the term hand coloring, but in my mind, being old school, I think hand coloring. I'm thinking that you're actually applying tints to an actual print. You know, um,
Well, that's what she does. That when you said about how she does it, one of the things I know she used to do is she liked Q-tips
okay,
and dabbing in the certain places with Q-tips and other things.
all right, yeah, and this is looking at this, especially when you look at like areas down here. Let's see if I can get this magnifier. All right, the reeds, all the reeds are like, this is fine work. uh, that's either done with a very fine brush, okay? Because if you notice, the grass in the background is all black and gray. All right, black and white. It's a black and white photograph that she's tinting over. Okay. Um, and then there are areas like this that is just a wash of color. All right, with no attempt to isolate anything, and we can actually even kind of follow where that green tint, and then there's the green tint continues here. All right, right. But you know what throws me off about this being a hand tinted, all right, is these little spots of green foliage. All right, that looks like the original color from the photograph. All right, that does not look like it was hand tinted, and I could be wrong, but that does not look hand tinted in those areas. All right, it looks like that is the original color of those trees that have been preserved, and everything else was rendered to black and white. You know,
I'd have to go back and verify it, but I thought that she started with black and white photographs, but
she
I
could,
can't confirm that.
but
But
what I read about Clyde is that obviously, like you mentioned, he's older and he suffered a stroke, and that limited his ability to walk around with the heavy view
yeah,
cameras. So he switched over to digital. She could have done the same thing.
yeah.
She could
But
have
I
switched.
do know this one here is this particular piece of work is from way before things of Photoshop. You know, this is
Okay.
from the mid '80s, I think,
Oh,
or somewhere around there. I mean, I bought mine, and it's yeah, I bought mine in the early '90s. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, this is just me speculating at this point
yeah.
with absolutely no knowledge. So,
Yeah, and me,
uh,
and you know what you're noting, though, and I think that there are some artists, you know, kind of like the MC Escher types, you know, that the amount of detail that they'll go into is beyond me. But that's why I
true.
thought, boy, if there's some way I could figure out how to do this digitally on some pictures, it'd be really neat, you know.
Right, right. But see, that's the other flip side of the coin. This image may have been done by hand. It probably was, all right. But uh what I'm doing is I'm analyzing it not to replicate a hand process, but to replicate a digital process.
Yep.
So,
Okay. Yeah.
even if she hand colored those trees in the background that look super realistic, the true to color, um, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, that's easy to isolate those trees and keep that true color, and then just turn everything else black and gray, for tinting. So
And
anyway,
you know what I was thinking, Doug, when you first started talking about analyzing the picture, I was been thinking along the lines of uh, you know, impressionist painters and how they define a layout and a landscape,
hmm
that there are probably techniques that she understood and knew how to apply with whatever she was using.
oh
And
yes,
you, as a digital guy, say, if I was going to try and replicate this digitally, this is what I would do, but partially with a knowledge of some of those things, and then what tools you would use to go to town with it.
correct, correct. Yeah. So My experience with hand tinting actual prints is very limited. I did some back in the day. Um, most of the retouching I did was actually on film, uh, not on the actual prints. Um, because as a graphic artist, I did a lot of um, offset press setups and setting up page layouts by hand. You know, cutting ruby liths and masking areas and specking type. And what we would get is we would get the negative that we would drop into the page layout. And sometimes those negatives needed a little bit of retouching. So I would have to, break out the inks and retouch them. And definitely a skill that was something that I never honed because I just never did enough of it. But I understand, that these inks, they're not opaque. All right, they were very translucent, and you could build up tonality by applying multiple coats. So I'm looking at it, and I can see that the cotton swab technique, yeah, it's definitely going to put like a wash of color, and then you let that dry and then you apply another layer. It looks like that's what was done to the tree trunks, because if you look at the intensity of color, all right, where these tree trunks are, you can see that they have um, a more intense pink than say those background brush, the brush and the bramble that's back there. Okay, uh, so this was definitely a layered technique. You know, but I'm looking at that green there, and it's
Well,
just like,
Duck, remember the Twin Towers picture we worked on some time
yes,
ago? And if you remember, there was that big swash of grass out in, in the middle, in front.
yeah,
And
yeah, I remember.
that was all burnt out because it was a burnt out summer, and I had managed to figure out how to turn it green, and then I don't know if we left it or you had brought in another thing. I guess that's what I was thinking on some of this is, would you, if you were trying to do something like this digitally, would you take an image and turn it to black and white and then build up on it again, or just build over it,
Yep.
or,
Well, that's
you
what
know,
that's what we're going to cover
okay.
today. All right. So we're going to use this kind of like as an example of um, of how she is basically toning stuff. So if we look at it, we can see that there is this streak of the teal. All right, all of this in here is all teal. All right, and then there's a blend. All right, where we have the teal up here, and then this is all pink or magenta. You know, which gives it that pink tone. Okay, so it looks like there's a swath. Probably done with a cotton ball. Okay, across the top, or a broad brush. All right, and then a swath of pink, and then a swath of green with a section left out, and then all of this had to have been done by hand. All right, with a brush. There's no way to get that with something as broad as a Q-tip. Right, that's all brushwork, and that's meticulous. All those reeds, that's mad props. Okay, All right. So, uh, and I'm sure, there was also some lifting of of the inks. All right. So once the teal goes down, you got to go in and quickly lift off where these birds are, or you mask it, like with that liquid frisket stuff, which is very meticulous in itself. Okay. All right. So enough of that analysis. Let's take a look. I picked this image because it's got the clouds, very similar to what she has in her image. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to show different techniques here. Okay. There's no one correct way to do this. As you guys know, with Photoshop, there are multiple tools that are going to give you the exact same results. The trick is to find a tool that resonates with you, all right, and makes it easy for you to remember. It says, oh, this technique, I got it locked in my brain. That's why I'm going to accomplish it. Okay. All right. The first technique is fairly simple. It requires no conversion of this to a black and white image. Okay. But what we could do is, here, let me open this in Photoshop. Edit the original. And I'm working on JPEGs here. I'm not working on a raw file. But it doesn't matter, um, because we're not really dealing with heavy duty manipulations here. Okay, we're just, all right, let's put that. Why is that not docking? There we go. All right, so first thing I want to do is probably throw in a hue saturation layer, and I'm going to just reduce the saturation down a little bit, and I want to just brighten it up, open up those shadows just a touch. Okay. Oh, hold on a second. Let me share. Oops. I can't use that share button. Share that one. There we go. Okay. All right. Everybody see okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And it's in color, right? Because my monitor, the my monitor's shot, and I'm looking at a black and white. Okay, so all I did is I threw a hue saturation layer to just kind of uh, bring these colors that are like really, really vibrant down to a more subdued, kind of pastel-y look. Okay. All right. Then we're going to make a selection of the sky. So we're just going to come up here, select sky. Oh, make sure that my layer selected. Layer, select sky. Give it a second. There we go.
Hey, Doc,
Yeah.
for you, I've been using Lightroom so much that I've forgotten about some things in Photoshop.
Yes.
And I was never, what I know about using these different layers like this uh, are rather new to me. So if I were going to be doing something with saturation, as I recall in Photoshop, I would have, I would have had some other layer I'd be working on, but there's some tools that were dropped down and you set the hue and saturation and that. It didn't really make a new layer, did it? Or is this the way you're
No.
doing it now is the
So
prescribed way to do it?
yeah, so here, let me back this up. So these are all adjustment layers. Okay. So an adjustment layer, um, adjustments make a global change. Okay, makes a global change to everything in the layer stack below it. Okay. So you can have 15 layers and it's going to affect the whole entire stack. All right. Uh, and these adjustment effects, um, they're kind of purpose-built tools. Okay. Some do some similar things, like for example, the levels adjustment and the curves adjustment. They both deal with exposure. They both handle it. They both do the same thing, but they handle it slightly differently. Okay. And then the exposure, um, uh, exposure adjustment also deals with exposure, but it's like a blunt tool. This is more like the exposure slider uh, in Lightroom, and as you can see, it grabs the image by the center and then it shoves it to the left or shoves it to the right, and it's horrible.
Oh, I gotta
Some
get
of
my
these.
meds.
What's
Oh,
that?
sorry. Sorry, I'll put you
Maybe you
back on
say it's
mute.
horrible the way the tool works, or just
Oh, it's horrible the way the tool works. Yeah.
okay,
You
okay.
know, is there a use for it? Yeah, I'm sure somewhere along the way somebody's found a use for it, but there are more, um, uh, there are better tools. Okay, but anyway, each one of these they do very specific things. All right, like for example, hue, saturation, and balance. Deals with color. The same is the color balance. Okay. Same as the color lookup table. All right. And even the gradient map. Okay. Um, so if you look at it, we can see like the first four deal with exposure. The next, the next three deal with color. You can say the next four because black and white just kind of strips out the color, but you can manipulate the individual colors to get certain levels of gray and black and white to taste. All right. Then you have these. The next four is kind of like specialties, very unique effects. You can add like a photo filter. There's the channels mixer, um, the color lookup table, or otherwise known as LUTs. You can invert the colors, all right, and then some really crazy stuff, posterize, threshold. These are special effects that are used in conjunction with others to create the end results. Okay. And of course, everybody knows my favorite is the curves adjustment layer because it handles just way so much. Okay. But when you click on one of these, what it's going to do is it's going to, as you can see it here, it's going to create a layer. All right. But there is no pixel data on that layer. Okay. Nope. No pixel data. Oh, what I do? I need my adjustments. There we go. I'm going to drop this back down here. Okay. All right. However, you'll see that they do have a mask. All right. So you can use these for local adjustments as well as global adjustments. All right. So global adjustments, you understand, it affects the entire image. Local adjustments, you need to use a mask in order to target a very specific part of your image. Okay. So in this case, I'm applying a desaturation to the entire image. This is a global effect that I want to reduce all that. See all that vibrance in the blues and the greens that are affecting this. That the original photographer added to their image. I want to knock it down some. Okay, I don't want it completely gone. I'm just going to knock it down some. Okay. Now we're going to start adding our own color to this. Okay. And so for this, we're going to go select. I'm sorry. Yeah, select. I got to make sure that again, make sure your layer selected. Okay. Select sky. Okay. And we're going to get the marching ants. Okay. See the marching ants? All right. Now we have our selection of the sky. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to tint the sky with a particular color. All right. So on top of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a blank layer. All right. I'm going to create a blank layer, and it's going to, whatever I paint on here is going to be maintained within that border, all right, of my selection. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come here. I'm going to pick a soft round brush. I'm going to make sure that it's nice and big. All right. Okay. I'm going to come to my color swatch, and I want to pick a nice kind of like bright magenta, kind of like what Nikki had, right? All right, here we go. And now this is like if she was tinting this with, a large brush or a large piece of cotton or, a large cotton cloth. And we're just going to go along that path along the bottom here. Okay. And I'm just going to paint across. Now this looks terrible because we are painting over everything, and it's obscuring whatever's below it. Okay. But what we got to do is we got to use a blend mode in order to interact with the layers below. Okay.
Duck, what layer are the marching ants on? Are they?
So the marching ants is a selection. They're not on any layer. All right. Once you have a selection, you can bounce through any layer in your layer stack, and those marching ants will still there. Okay. So in essence, you can apply the marching ants to any layer that you want. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
You
So
selected okay, because the sky's selected. All right.
yeah. So
Okay.
the sky selected. All right. But now I am on a blank layer, and I'm using the marching ants as a compartment to hold. When I paint, it's going to be just within that selection area. Okay. Is this the best way to do it? Well, we'll see. It's to be determined. Okay. All right. So right now, that magenta color is kind of obscuring everything below. We can't see the clouds. All right, so we have to change the blend mode, all right, from normal, which obscures everything, to something that is going to apply a tint or apply the color to the underlying layers. Can you guess what that blend mode is?
Is it overlay?
Good
I'm gonna
call.
say color damage.
Oh yeah, look at that. We do have one that's called color.
Oh, okay.
All right, absolutely. And what that does is it applies that hue, that color, to the underlying pixels.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
So what it does is it basically replaces any color that's there with the color that you just painted. Okay. Now, the other color that she used was kind of like a teal green, right?
Yeah, I think the top half is what you had there. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's pretty close.
that looks pretty good. We'll give that a
Mhm.
try. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna paint that across the top. All right. Oh yeah, that's that's definitely looking kind of like hers. All right. Ooh. Yeah. All right.
I have a
Now,
question for you, Doc.
if what's that?
I have a question for you. Can you control on your brush, can you apply like a feather so this gradation won't be as severe, or you can make it
Yes.
more severe?
Yes.
That's something
So
I don't want to take you up what you're trying to
no,
show.
nope, that's a good question. All right. So we do have uh intensity. We have 100% hardness down to 0% hardness.
Oh, wow.
But even that, um, you can see that the overlap between the two
Hmm.
is a little bit on the harsher side.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, why? Why does that look so harsh? Anybody want to venture a guess? It's not so much the tool, but the color. All right. Green
So
and
you're
red.
saying, I'm sorry, Doc,
Yeah,
you're saying it will not look as severe if there was a different choice of colors.
correct. Correct. Uh, green and red. Whenever you put green and red together, all right, you ever see how it kind of has that electric competition between itself, you know, and it almost looks like they're having a battle for dominance. You ever notice that, especially Christmas time when you have a green wrapping paper with a red bow? All
Yeah.
right, that red and green just they clash. Well, teal and magenta are within that red and green family, and they're going to clash. And what we're seeing is that that clash. You know, you can definitely see it right there. Uh, it,
It
it's
looks like a
it's
storm brewing.
exactly. All right, it is. It's a storm brewing because those
Thank
two
God.
colors are fighting each other. Okay. All right. So, you know, we can try to see if we can kind of minimize that. All right. So one thing we could do is, you know, here's the color. All right. Uh, and you can see the division line between the magenta and the teal where they kind of overlap. All right. They are fighting each other. All right. and it looks like I didn't go over the edge enough. Let's bring that all the way. There we go. Oops. There we go. Okay. So we can see if maybe we can apply a blur. Let's try that. Blur. Oops, wait a minute. Blur gallery. Gaussian blur, Gaussian blur. All right, and let's see if we apply a blur, yeah, see, we're not gonna get that nice subtle, doesn't look it. All right.
Hey Doug, I posted the colors in the chat. I grabbed them off the website. The actual hex colors.
Okay. Let's see what you got.
The green's a lot softer than what we picked here.
All right. So here we go. Let's try that. Put that in. Oh yeah, you're right. It is way almost translucent. Yeah, but you gotta understand that the pigment that she used. See, that's very, very. You got to understand that what you're seeing on the screen in her image is the tint that originally went, is concentrated from the bottle, that is very transparent to begin with.
Yeah.
And it's applied very transparently, and you having the white of the paper come through. So it's the interaction. All right, let's see the magenta, what we get if we switch out the magenta color.
Hey, Doc, what about changing the opacity? Will that do anything to make it look more thin? Is that something that could be an option?
I've wondered about that too, because when I play around with this stuff in the past, I've always.
Oh boy.
Oh, wait a minute. I think you have the colors reversed here. All right.
Yeah, teal number.
Yeah, the 8ACF. That's looking more teal than the other one. All right. Oops. Wait a minute.
Yeah, I switched them. They're backwards.
All right, hold on. What do we got? That's the teal.
The teal starts with A.
And that's the pink. There we go. There we go. Let's see what that looks like.
Oh, that looks more like it.
Yeah, that's livable.
Yeah. There we go.
Oh, that looks great.
Okay.
Looks like the storm went out to sea.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then so now we can decide, all right, well, how do we want to color other things? All right. Now, here's the problem with this particular technique is that we created a mask. We created a selection, and we used the selection to confine the area that we applied color. And then we applied color straight onto that layer. Now, if I want to change, for some reason, I want to change something, I can't do it on the fly. Okay. I'm a little lost here, because now I got to say, okay, well, I want to get a little bit more intense magenta into, you know, maybe this corner here, all right? Because it's looking a little bit too white. I want to see a little bit more of a pop of color, okay? Well, now, in order to fix that, I need to come back here, make another selection of my sky, all right? Come back to that layer, all right? Get my brush, all right? And there's my color. Let's make that color a little bit more intense. There we go. And see if we can, there we go. All right. Okay. And then I have to deselect it and so on. All right. So you can see that this, while it gets the job done, it's a little awkward. Okay. And also, if you need to fine tune the colors, you notice I had to change the colors in the color swatch and repaint everything in order to get the colors that we kind of like. All right. So this technique has a lot of limitations. All right. Let's eliminate those limitations. Let's work a little bit more creatively, I guess you can say. All right. And see if we can get rid of this. All right. So,
Hey, Doug,
yo,
what? So, if you were going to continue with this technique, and now you said, I like the way the sky is, now I want to work on the foreground.
yep.
Would you take the stuff that you had and group that all together, or you do one of those clever link things that only goes down to a certain layer, or maybe make another layer that
All right.
all affects on?
Okay.
Is that the way you
So,
would do it or not?
with this technique, probably not.
Okay.
If I were, all right, think about how you would organize projects. Okay. You would normally organize projects based on levels of accomplishment. Okay. You set a goal, you do a bunch of things to accomplish that goal. Once that goal is accomplished, that's a little package. And then you move to the next goal. All right. And then you'll do a bunch of stuff there, and then you'll group that into a package. Okay. And then at the end, you'll have these little packages that create the finished product. Okay. So it would be the same thing here. So, for example, right now, step one would be exposure correction, getting your white levels, your black levels, your midtones done properly. All that is dealing with exposure. All right, light and dark, nothing to do with color. So however many steps are needed to accomplish that, that's one package. All right, and then you would group them together. Then you say, okay, the next step is I want to hand tint all of this. All right, so you would do a couple of different colors, get them all hand tinted, the image getting the way you want, and then you would group those into a package. All right. But because I only have one layer essentially for my that deals with exposure, I'm not worried about that one layer getting in my way that I need to hide it. You see what I mean? Because it's just one layer. All right. If I were to take that and put it into a group and call this exposure, oops, cancel, call that exposure. Yes, it keeps me organized, but have I gained anything, as far as organization? not really. I still have, you know, that one layer. Okay. All right. So you just got to ask yourself, you know, um, is it worth me being that, you know, anal retentive about my organization, or can I be a little bit lax about it? Uh, Other projects, yeah, you may have 5, 6, 7 layers in order to accomplish one thing. And then after a while, when you have 50 layers and your layer stacks this long, you got to scroll up and down all the time, then it makes sense to be a little bit more organized. Okay. All right. So now here, let's say maybe I want to tint the this pathway. All right. Maybe I want to use that same, you know, magenta color. Okay. So now I got to come in, because we started off with a painting layer. You know, we can say, okay, well, let's continue. All right. I'm going to create a new layer. We know we got to change it to our color. All right. Because we're going to be applying color. All right. I'm going to get a soft round brush. Let's size it down. Okay. I have my magenta color. All right. And I am going to go ahead and start painting. All right. And I think I need to change this magenta color to something a little bit more vibrant. All right. And then now we can come in here and I can, you know, I can be a little bit controlling here. All right. Because at this point, you know, I'm hand tinting. All right. Oops. So let's switch that down. All right. And the nice thing is if I make a mistake, I have my eraser tool. All right. Now how often have I ever used the eraser tool? Okay. The only time you need an eraser tool is when you are dealing with transparent pixels. All right. The eraser tool is going to give you back your transparent pixels. Okay. Otherwise, you normally don't use it. Okay. Come back to my brush tool. All right. And at this point, it's as if you're working on a actual physical print. Okay. We are applying color where we want. Okay. The only difference, before we used a really, really big broad brush, and now I am just being a little bit more selective with my brush. Okay. And of course, I can size it accordingly. All right. And the nice thing here is I can use that nice dark edge that's on the side of the path here. And I don't need to be super, super careful with my edge work, because that dark shadow is going to camouflage my color transition. Oops. See, I just went over onto the grass. All right. Switch over to an eraser tool. Erase that out. Clean up that edge. Come back to my brush tool. All right. We'll zoom back out. All right. And, you know, size your brush accordingly. All right. There we go. Now, you know, is this what you want? Well, you know, that's artistic choice. I'm just using this as an example. Okay. Um, Okay. And then we can decide, all right, well, I want to use that magenta, or I'm sorry, that teal color, and see if, what happens if I use that teal color on the grass. Ooh, that's a little intense. Maybe I want to use something a little bit different. Who knows? But these are the creative decisions that you're going to make. Okay. I'm just going to talk about technique. All right. So this is one technique, just applying color to a blank layer, and just painting directly where you want it. And
Doc, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I saw a technique done, but I don't know how he did it. When he was brushing where you were, the second time he would brush that color, it got darker.
Okay. Yes.
What is that?
Okay. So
I'm sorry to take you up what you're doing.
no, we're here to learn. We are here to learn. File, new.
And I was wondering how he did that because I'm like, that was so cool because he can control, darker and lighter areas. I thought it was very creative.
Yep. Okay, so I have my brush, all right, and as you can see, it's got a soft edge to it. Okay, unlike a brush that has a hard edge, right? Okay, as I brush, it's applying 100% of my pigment down onto the image. Okay. But if we look up here, we have our context bar, our tool context bar. All right. And we have opacity and we have flow. Okay. And both those things we can control. It controls the amount of pigment that is being applied per pass. Okay. So right now we have 100% opacity and 100% flow. Okay. Now there's a shortcut for opacity. Any number key, if you press the number key, all right, it's going to change the opacity. Okay. So 5 will change the opacity to 50%. 2 will change it to 20%, 7 to 70%, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So this is at 100%. I hit the 5 key, it's going to change it to 50%, okay?
Wow.
If I change it to 10%, all right, it's applying less and less pigment, okay? Now, I have 10%. If I go back and forth, 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 as long as I do not lift off my pad, okay, it's going to apply 10%. Okay. As soon as I let go, all right, either I lift off with my pen or I let go of the mouse button and apply a second one, it's going to apply 10% on top of what you just put in. All right. So you can see
20%.
So now, yeah, it's not quite 20%. All right. So if I go 20%, all right, that's 20%. Okay. You can see that, all right, this is 20%, and it does not look like that. It actually looks darker. Okay.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
So it's not quite the 20%, but it's going to build up. And
Thank you.
if I go over it again, you can see that it's going to just keep building up. Every time I lift off or I unclick and click back, it's just going to keep adding and adding and adding. All right. So this is a way, right now I have a hard brush. Okay. It's just a way of building up tonality. All right. And creating, you can control where you want your edges to be. All right. So now if I have a really soft round brush, all right. Oh, let's go really soft round. Let's just get rid of everything here. Okay. All right.
Oh,
With a
wow.
soft round brush, you can see I can really build up my tonality. And because the edges are soft, all right, I can really, really just bring that up. Okay. I should probably be using, let me use black. Okay. There's black.
Oh, right there. Oh, yes.
All right. So every time I make a pass, I'm just adding that little bit of 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%. Okay.
Thank you, Doc.
All right. So flow is a little bit different. Flow, the shortcut is control or command and then the number. All right. Or is it all? No, it's control. Oh no, I'm sorry. Shift. Shift 1. All right. Now what happens is you can see that it's building. I as long as I keep going over the same area, it's going to keep building up. So it's a constant buildup. Okay. It's not like opacity where if I just keep going, it does not get brighter than 10%. With flow, it's going to keep building up and keep building up. Every time I pass over it, all right, it just keeps building and keeps building. All right. It's a quicker way of getting the same results, but you need a lot better hand control over your tool. All right. Because the buildup's going to be a constant buildup. Okay. Whereas, that let's see, we'll bring flow back up to 100 and we'll bring that down to 10%. All right. And this is opacity. See, as no matter what, it's not going to get brighter than that 10%. Okay. So opacity never gets above that 10%. All right. Whereas flow at 10%, all right, you can see that it's darker to begin with and it just keeps building up and building up and building up. Okay.
Yes, that's great. Thank you so much, Doc.
No problem.
That was
All right.
awesome.
So right now with this, I was using my brush at 100%. Okay. But there's no reason why you can't tint, start off your tint at, say 20% and build up in layers as you go along. Okay. All right.
That's awesome.
But you can understand that this particular method of making a selection, creating a layer, a blank layer, applying pigment to that blank layer is a little restrictive. Okay. So let's go. I'm going to group these two together. Okay. And we'll call that paint on layer. Okay. I'm going to turn that off. Okay. And we're going to do a different technique here. All right. This technique gives you a little bit more flexibility. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a solid color adjustment layer. Okay. Now, this is one thing I don't understand about Photoshop. Okay. We're in our layers panel right here, right? At the bottom of the layers panel are these additional tools. All right. So we have our effects tools. Okay. This is the same thing as double clicking on the side here, and you get your blend if and your bevels and all that. That's this. The next one is you can apply a layer mask. All right. And then the third one, these are all our adjustments. Okay. So if you see this, all right, we have brightness and contrast levels, curves, exposure. All right. See what's next to it? You see brightness, levels, curves, exposure, hue, saturation, color balance, all that. Those are all right here. Okay. But this solid color, I mean, even gradient is there. Gradient map is right there, which is right down here, gradient map. Okay. But these three up here, they're not selectable from your adjustments panel. Okay. Which I don't understand why. They should have. But we want the first one, which is solid color. Okay. Solid color. And it's going to now it's going to create a pixel layer. All right. This is not an adjustment layer. This is a pixel layer. Okay. And we can pick whatever color we want on to apply. Okay. So we can find that nice light magenta tint. Okay. We can dial it in. All right. Hit OK. All right. But right now that blend mode is normal. So it's going to hide everything underneath it. Right. So what's the layer that we need? Okay. We need that color layer. Okay. Or we can use hue. All right. Color or hue. You'll notice that hue is a little bit more intense than color. Color is a little bit more subtle. So it all depends on what you want. Let's go with hue. Okay. Since we used color last time, we'll use hue this time. 6 of one, half dozen the other. Okay. Now, you'll notice that this is applying that pink across the entire image. Okay. It's a global setting. All right. So how can we convert it from a global setting to a local setting? Well, by changing our mask. All right. So right now, our mask is white. Okay. Make sure your mask is selected. All right. You see how it's got the border around it? Make sure the mask is selected. All right. Control Command I will invert it. All right. And now we do need to make a selection. We need to isolate it to the sky. All right. So we're going to go select sky. Give it a second. There's our sky selection. Now what we're going to do is instead of painting on an actual blank layer, we're going to paint on the mask. Okay. So we're going to go here, grab ourselves a large, soft, round brush. Okay. Just like before. Let's make that a little bit smaller. All right. And because we're working on a layer on a layer mask, you notice that our color selection is black and white. White reveals, black hides. So right now we're hiding our color. All right. So by painting white, I'm at 10%. Let's bring that up to 100. Okay, there we go. By painting white, We are allowing that color to now come through. All right. Now, the beauty about this particular thing is if we need to make modifications, like for example, right up here, maybe I want to keep this area clear of that magenta. All right. So what I want to do now, just make my size, the size of my brush a little smaller, change my foreground color, all right, from white to black, all right, so we can either click on this little double-headed arrow, all right, or what we can do is we can hit the X key. X will toggle between the two, okay, and then we can come in here and we can remove, oops, we can remove that from wherever we want. Okay. And if we want to add some, we just switch white as our foreground color. All right. And we can add it wherever we want. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, here's the beauty of this. All right. Not only can we control where we paint, all right. So, oh, like for example, here I missed the edge here. Okay. Not only can we control what we paint, if I say, you know what, it's not vibrant enough. All right. I want this to be a little bit more vibrant. I want a little bit more color. All right. I can come in here and I can change the color. All right. Maybe I don't want pink. Maybe I want, yellow. Oh, no, that looks horrible. All right. Maybe I want, I want more the teal magenta here. All right. Or the teal color. All right. Or maybe I want green. You can pick and choose after the fact. All right. You can say, okay, well, maybe I want something in the red family rather than in the magenta family. Okay. Actually, I got to give her credit. I think she picked the best colors. That pink and teal, that's the best. All right. But we can control the colors now. All right. We can control the colors. Okay. So now I can come in here. We can say, okay, I want to bring back a little bit on the, oops. Make sure you're on the mask. There we go. And we can just make sure that we are there. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Here's the downside. On that very same layer, I cannot add teal. All right. If I want to add the teal, I need to come in, create another solid color adjustment. All right. Select my teal color that I want to use. All right. Maybe a little bit more vibrant. Hit OK. Change the color blend mode. We were using hue, right? Oops. Hue. Right. Invert my mask. All right. And then now make a selection. Remember, we want to keep it just to our sky. All right. Nice big soft round brush. And white as my foreground color. And now I can add that teal color.
That's 100%, right?
And I'm using 100%. Okay. Now I'm using 100% because I am working on my mask. Okay,
Right.
there's my mask. All right, so I'm just applying anything that's white is going to be 100% of that effect coming across.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. Where it transitions between white and black, all this gray area, that's going to be a gradation. So we have 100% of our color here, all right, 0% color here, all right, and then this is a transition. All right, make sense?
Sure does.
All right. All right. Control. Oops. Alt. There we go. Okay. So that's another way of being able to control your colors. Okay. All right. And the nice thing about this is because you say, all right, you know, I have my two colors here. Okay. I kind of like that teal color. Let's see what it looks like if I'm sorry, not the teal, the magenta. All right. Can I apply it to that road? Okay. Well, in this case, if I apply it to the road, it doesn't look very good, does it?
No.
All right. But because we are working with masks, all right, I can say, okay, well, I tried it. It doesn't look good. Switch from white to black, and I can just very, very quickly get rid of everything that I just did, all right, with a very simple pass of the brush. Okay. So it allows me to, you know, play around with my colors. All right, I can do the same thing here with the grass, and I say, oh, you know, that's kind of funky. Do I like that? Maybe not. Okay, so you can experiment. Okay, all right. Let's add one more solid color adjustment. All right, and in this case, I don't know what color I want. All right. So I'm just going to pick something. I'm going to let's keep it. Let's see, color or hue. Color in this case. All right. I'm looking at the grass area. Color is a lot more vibrant than hue. All right. So let's go with color. Okay. And invert my mask. So make sure that you have your mask selected. Control Command I will invert it, or you can just let's see. Can we invert it from here? No, they should be able to, but you can go up here and invert it. Control Command I is the easiest. Okay, so now we can say, oh, all right, I need to change something here. I got too much teal squeezing down up there. All right, I can say, all right, let's change my grass. Oh yeah, there we go. I kind of like that. All right, I kind of like that. All right, and then just like before, all right, where, you know, before we were kind of sort of painting on a blank layer. At this point, we are painting on a mask. All right. So the benefit of that is, in case I make a mistake, all I got to do, all right, is switch from white as my foreground color to black as my foreground color, and I can go ahead and erase that. Okay. Just as easy as that. All right. So it makes corrections easy. All right. of course, this is not this is nowhere near my style of image editing, but you get the gist. Okay. And I'm not being very careful with this, and you can see that even by just not being very careful, I can do this. All right. Now, this is me hand painting stuff. All right. This is just me hand painting it. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of that mask. All right. Because we can do other things. Okay. All right. Let's invert it. Okay. We can go. All right. So now I say, okay, I want to apply this green just to the areas that are foliage. All right. The trees, the grass, anything that is foliage here. All right. So instead of me spending a lot of time painting it, let's see if we can have Photoshop help us out, okay, by making a selection. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here, make a selection. All right, we're going to select, and what we're going to do is we're going to go with a color range, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go with a sampled color, okay, and we're going to pick, make sure that we need to be on our original layer. Okay. Select color range. All right. Selected color. All right. And what's the fuzziness? All right. We're going to that first eyedropper. Okay. Allows you to make your initial selection. And then if we want to add to the selection, we're going to go with that eyedropper with the little plus symbol. All right, we're going to click on that. All right, and we're just going to click. All right, and you're going to see that as I click, it's going to add some stuff to it. Okay, anything that's green. Here we go. Okay. And if we want to remove something, we just click on the remove tool and we just click. All right. And you can see that it kind of, we have to be careful. All right. Maybe not so big a range. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit better. Okay. We need to click on these far trees in the background. All right. Yeah, we're getting a lot of spill. All right, so maybe less. All right, let's get rid of the localized clusters. Let's go. All right. All right, let's remove. Yeah, see. All right. All right. Well, it selected the pathway along with it. This one's a little bit trickier. All right, we're gonna remove the sky. There we go. Remove the sky. There we go. All right. Hit OK. That makes our selection. Now we can go to our mask. All right. Hit Alt. Let's see. Oh. Make sure that we are black and white here. White as a foreground color. Alt delete. Okay. And then get rid of that. And we just do a little bit of cleanup on our mask. black is our foreground color. Make my brush a little bit bigger. I can clean up that sky. Okay. I can go ahead and clean off my, whatchamacallit, my roadway here. Okay. And in the meantime, I got everything else selected. All right. And the nice thing is here, I can make modifications to my color and say, okay, if I don't like that green, all right, we just double click on that. We can make it maybe a little bit more towards that teal color. There we go. That looks better. Okay. Zoom in here. Resize my brush. Make sure you're on the mask. All right. And we're going to just remove, clean up our mask. All right. See how this might be a little bit easier? All right. Any questions about this technique? Anybody?
Yeah, I have. Wait, my turn. Yes, I have one.
Okay.
Do we have when selecting these things? Do we have invert? Like, could you have selected the sky like you did before, and then just invert that whole selection?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, now that you mention it, that may have been the easiest way. uh,
Oh, wow.
you know,
Well, I could see where it wouldn't work in every situation, but it seemed like this one that everything that's not sky is green except for the road.
the
and
paths, yeah,
you got to pull that out anyway.
correct. But also, I part of this, I if I had removed, I lowered the saturation. So if I got rid of that saturation layer, it might have helped me out. But yes, so all right, here, let me turn that off. Let's go solid color. All right, we'll do that teal green again. Okay. Normal to color. Okay. Select sky. Give it a second. All right, click, make sure that you are on the mask. All right. Alt delete. Okay. And there we go. We have everything but the sky. Or I mean, yeah, everything but the sky. All right, Control Command D, deselects, and then at that point we just get a soft round brush, black as my foreground color, and we pull the color out of this mask as needed. So yes, you know what? That technique probably saves a little bit more time, Bri. Good call.
Mhm.
So somebody was using their noodle, not me. All right. And then, you know, whatever else. There's a little patch of water here, you know, so maybe we can pull that out and say we're going to tint that, you know, that pink color. All right, this road has a red tone to it already, so we can probably leave it the natural color, and that works quite well. This one, not so much. Okay. All right. Any questions about this? Fairly simple, right?
I think it's pretty neat, especially, you know, as we were analyzing this, I was really starting to appreciate Nikki's, well, these kind of people that, like I said before, can put this kind of effort into these things because,
Oh yeah.
you know, what you did even with that first technique with the sky, you know, I thought was very nice. And like I said, I've got gave me an idea why you're doing it of two pictures. I want to do this from old photos in Florida, as a matter of fact. But
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
one of Charles Island that I have. This would be a nice one to do.
All right. Let's just switch up the scene. All right. Now, uh, uh, so I introduced a couple of ways of adding color to your image. And as you saw, it doesn't matter if there's color or not. Whatever layer you apply is going to override the underlying colors. However, having color there can kind of influence your work process as you are developing your color palette for the image. So sometimes it's better if there's no color, and then you add in the color where you want. Okay. So let's take a look at that. The way of adding color is still the same. You can do it the same way. I'll introduce another method. Okay. But for this, what we want to do is we want to convert this from color to black and white. So we're going to desaturate it and just get rid of all the color. All right. And there are several ways of doing this. Of course, we can convert it to black and white with our black and white adjustment layer. And this allows us to have control of different color areas. All right. So to use this, you have to kind of remember what the colors are. So in this case, we have the blue for the sky. All right. We have some magenta down, where these flowers are. All right. And then we have this kind of like orangey red for the building. And there's literally two levels of saturation to that color. The deeper saturated tiles and the trim, and the more kind of like pastel-y, orangey look to the bricks. Okay. And that would be with the red and yellow. There's a lot of yellow involved. All right. So watch. Okay. If we can control the shade of gray that we want. Okay. So this is one way of converting a black and white image. Okay. This is kind of nice because, as you can see, you have control. You have some controls over the different areas. Now, it just so happens that this particular image has a very simple palette that it works to our benefit. Okay. Not every image is going to have such a simplistic palette, but in this case, it works. All right. So keep that in mind. Okay. All right. I'm going to turn
Doug, I
that
missed
off.
something.
What's
Doug,
that?
that menu we were just looking at with the sliders on it. Is that off the black and white?
Yeah. So that is the black and white adjustment layer.
Okay.
Okay.
So when you click back on that, that thing will open back up again?
Yep. So
Okay.
if you have this little icon here in your toolbox, all right, that's your properties tab.
Oh, it's the properties.
Properties. If you don't see it, just come up to Windows, and make sure that properties is selected. Okay. All right. And you'll see this. This will change depending on what layer you have active. Okay. All right.
So this is just a really good way to, if you're gonna be taking black, color photos and turn them into black and white this is a good way to proceed, even if you're not gonna add color back in.
This is one way. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Another
Dr.
way is we can use the hue saturation layer. Okay. Hue saturation. All right. And we just take the saturation and we bring the saturation all the way down. However, we have no tonal control over anything. All we have is we can make it a little bit brighter, we can make it a little bit darker, and that's about it. So this one is a little bit more limited. And also, just because we're pulling colors out does not mean we're getting the same luminosity that the color implies. So that's a downside to this one. Okay. All right, let's turn that off. The last method I'm going to show you is, again, we're going to create a solid color adjustment layer. All right. And what we're going to do is, it doesn't matter what the brightness value is. All right. But what we want is a neutral gray. Okay. Neutral gray. So no hue, no saturation. All right. So those two will be 0, 0. And me personally, I just put it at a middle gray. So 50%. All right. That's halfway between 0 lightness and 100% lightness. Okay. Which gives us a middle gray, and we hit OK. And if we change the blend mode from normal to saturation, okay, you can see that it pulls all the color out and it maintains the relationships of luminosity between colors. All right. So what do I mean by that? All right. So this is the hue saturation. Okay. Notice how there is a big difference. All right. Especially if we look at like this section here. All right. I want you to pay attention to the luminosity value, the lightness, okay, between the bricks in this upper part of the archway, right, in here, right, that little section right there, all right, in relation to this and in relation to the tiles above, okay? You can see that there's a distinctive stepping of luminosity. This is what it looks like with the saturation. We have that, but these bricks are not as bright as they look here. All right, see how bright those bricks look? As soon as we take the saturation off, they lost that little bit of luminosity. All right. But if we use the other method, all right, see how it maintains that level of luminosity. Okay. So that's a more preferred method. All right. Now, which one you want? All right. My preference is always going to be the black and white mix, because like I said, you can control, all right, you can control every aspect of all these colors and how light or how dark you want to make them. Okay.
It's like an advanced zone system.
It is very much so.
That's
Yes.
so freaking cool.
Yes, absolutely. All right. My second favorite will be to create a neutral color layer. All right. And changing the blend mode to saturation. Okay. All right. And then the third, which I hardly ever use, is just pulling the saturation lever down. Okay. All right. So now I don't care which one you use, personal preference. All right. The goal is to basically just turn everything to black and white. Black and white. Okay. Because now we do not have the influence of color to skew our what we want to do with the image, right? Okay. So now we can say, okay, let's go with that pink. All right. And now at this point, it's the same process. We'll pick a solid color adjustment layer. We'll get that nice kind of like pinky tone. All right. Change that. All right. It's either going to be hue or color. Oh, hue's not working. Why is hue is not working because we took all the hue out of the image. All right. All right. And then we can just go select sky. Select sky. Okay, we have our selection. All right. We might need to add to our selection because where's there's little areas that it missed. Okay, there we go. Oh, and it looks like it selected some areas. Okay, so here we need to take a little bit of effort to clean this up. All right, I'm just going to use the lasso tool. All right, and come up here. There we go. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but just realize when you are working on your project, spend some time on your selection. All right, because your work is only as good as the selections you make. All right, if you make shitty selections, you're going to have shitty work. All right, then we're going to come to our mask. Control or Alt Delete. Okay. Okay. Now, because we have our sky selected, all right, we got rid of our sky. Control Command D will get rid of the marching ants. And then to invert this, we just Control I or Command I to invert it. And there's our sky. Okay. And at that point, we can say, okay, well, I don't want the upper part. So what we're going to do is get a brush. Where's my brush? There's my brush. Big, soft round brush. Black as my foreground color. And I'm going to remove it from the upper part. Okay. Now, if you are keen, you're going to notice that there's a problem here that that has presented itself. Okay. I want to paint the upper part of what I just did. All right. I want to paint the upper part of what I just did with the teal color. Okay. So now what I have to do is I have to go through that whole process again of creating that mask and applying it just for me to mask out that upper area. So I'm going to give you a little pro tip. First, let me undo what I just did. Okay. I now spent some time and created a mask. All right. Let me clean up this mask just a little bit more. Image, adjustments, levels. All right, let's clean up this mask. Okay, there we go. Got my mask cleaned up. Okay. Every time I want to work on this image, I don't want to have to rebuild this mask every single time. So what I want to do is I want to preserve this mask and save it for posterity's sake. So here's a couple of tricks that you can do. Okay. What you use is entirely dependent on how you want to work. Okay. One easy way is just create a blank layer. All right. And then take that mask. All right. Now, if you press and hold the Alt or the Option key and you click and drag, it's going to create a duplicate of that mask. All right. Alt or Option, click and drag creates a duplicate. Okay. Because it's on a blank layer, it's not doing anything. Okay. And then just label this mask. Okay. And if you want, turn the eyedropper off. All right. And if you want, right click and label it red. Okay. So now, every time you need that mask, guess what? You have it handy. Okay. So now I can go here. I can go big brush. Black is my foreground color. I want to take away from the upper part because I want to make that that teal green, right? Okay. I come back, get my solid color. There's my teal green that I want to use. Hit OK. Change it to color. Okay. I have no mask. All right. I have this one here that I just modified. Okay. That got rid of the green part. I can't use that because I destroyed what I want to keep. All right. But I have this one here that I saved, right? So Alt or Option, all right. Alt or Option, click and drag, all right. And it's going to replace it with that. And now I can come in with my, make sure you got your mask selected. My black is my foreground color, and now I can get rid of the lower part where the pink is. Okay. And I now have my upper sky and my lower sky. Everybody see how I did that?
That's awesome.
Okay. All right. The nice thing is because it's here, it's in your face. you know it's there. You cannot forget that you have that mask. Make sure you don't delete it, okay? Because uh, uh, if you spend like 20 minutes working on a really complex mask, you don't want to spend 20 minutes every single time you got to rebuild that mask. Make sense? All right. Here's another way you can do it. All right. Once you build your mask, you can then go into your channels. Okay. And you're going to see that mask. Actually, let me, yeah. So go to channels. You're going to see that mask. Okay. Make sure that you have your mask selected. All right. Because if I, like, for example, if I have my teal colored mask selected and I go into my channels, okay, you're going to see that that mask is selected. That's not the mask we want to save. All right. Make sense? We want to select the mask. We want to select the mask that we want to save. We go into our channels and we're going to see that mask right there. All right. We're going to right click and we're going to duplicate the channel. Okay. And give it a unique name. All right. So mask copy is all we need, right? Mask copy. All right. Or mask save, whatever. Backspace. All right. Hit OK. All right. Now watch what happens. All right. I can go here into my color channel, come back to my channels, and there's my mask right there. Okay. So how can we use that? All right. Let's say I want to apply a much darker teal color to just the dark areas of where the tile is. All right. So I'm going to come in, solid color adjustment. Maybe we'll make it a little bit more blue. Hit OK. Change that to color. Okay. And I want to use that mask. All right. So we go to channels. All right. Here's our mask, right? Press Control Command and you click on that mask. All right. And what's going to happen is you're going to get, I don't know if you guys can see it, but you're going to get the marching ants. The marching ants. That mask is now loaded as a selection. Okay. We come back to our layers. All right. There's our selection. All right. Control Command Delete, or no, wait a minute. We're in our Alt or Option Delete, and now we have our mask selected or applied. Okay. We get rid of the marching ants. Control Command D for deselect. Okay. And at this point, it's just a matter of cleaning up our mask here. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to get a hard round brush, bring it down. Black is my foreground color. All right. And maybe, oh, you know what? Let's do something else. Let's make, let's just select, where's my image layer? Got to go to my image layer. All right. We're going to select all the light areas. Okay. There we go. There we go. All these light areas. Okay. Right. Now, again, you're going to need to put in a little bit of work, obviously, because your work is only as good as the selection you make. All right, we go back up to our mask, get our brush, black is our foreground color, and we can get rid of that, okay? But now, all right, and then you just go along working at it as, you know, as you go along, okay? If you press and hold the Alt, excuse me, Alt or Option key, you can always go into your mask, and you are welcome to do any kind of cleanup there as well, if it's easier for you. Okay. So this is another way of you know, kind of really fine tuning your mask. All right. But you can see I'm just leaving certain parts of that mask unaffected. Okay. Alter Option, click, and brings us back. Or if you want to, you just freehand it. Right? And you say, okay, I want to, everywhere I paint, that's where I am removing that effect of the color. Okay? So gonna get rid of it all over this part here. If you make a mistake, X switches back. All right. All right. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. Obviously, you guys get the gist. All right. Okay.
You know, Doug, it just occurred to me that when she was doing some of this stuff, that Miami Vice was a very popular TV show. And then along came CSI Miami. And remember how they used to colorize that
Yes.
show?
Oh, you know what? You're so right. Yes.
That's the
Those,
only TV show I've seen every episode.
you know what? That makes sense now. That makes sense. Okay. There we go. All right. So, make sure you are on your mask. Okay. And then just, you know, remove from the areas that you don't want to apply, you know, that color.
Great job, Doug.
Okay.
Doug.
All right. Any questions on any of these techniques?
I like them.
They're all.
All right. There is one other that's kind of complex. I'm not going to get into it. I figure, you know, we'll stick with the easy stuff. This will get you to the results you need. You don't need to get into more complex work. Okay. But yeah, so this is a great way, you know, of being able to colorize your image.
Oh yeah, Doug, what was that last selection you made? You're on the background layer, and what kind of selection was it? It was the before. What was it selecting to get the marching ants?
Oh, yeah. So I'm using the magic wand tool.
Right. Okay.
All right. And I have the tolerance pretty high. And it allows me to just select. I'm selecting all the lighter pixels and
Okay.
keeping the darker pixels intact, because I just want to apply that color tint just to the darker pixels.
So,
Okay.
but that's my question. What are you doing? What are you doing so it's doing that for you? Is
So,
it-
so make sure that you are on your image layer, all right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if you're on a blank layer, there's nothing for it to select, all right? It's got to be there, okay? Unless you have all layers, sample all layers, which probably makes better sense, okay?
Mhm.
All right, so now what I can do is I can select certain areas, all right, and then with those areas selected, I then go to my brush, okay, and I can brush out those areas, right?
Okay. Yep.
And because I'm only selecting the lighter bricks and not the darker bricks, okay?
Excuse me.
And then Control D, and then I can finish off whatever doesn't get selected or gets missed. I can go ahead and just, touch on those manually. All right. But it's just a matter of getting to the end results as quickly as possible with as little effort.
Thank you, Doug. It looks great.
All right. And now,
Yeah. For sure.
okay. Control minus. All right. There's
Nikki would be
our
jealous.
wheels. What's that?
Nikki would be jealous.
Nikki will be jealous. Yeah. Only if you take a lot of money away from her with your techniques. All right. Oh, we lost Bob.
All right, Doug.
Okay.
Thanks so
So
much.
there you have it. You have several techniques under your belt in order to colorize your images. Let's see what you guys do with it.
All righty.
Okay.
Thank you, Doug.
All righty. We will catch you next time.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Good night. Thank you,
In the
Doug.
meantime, stay safe.
Do the same.
All right. Ciao, everybody.
Ciao. God bless.
Thank you for watching Learning Photography with Duck. Brought to you in association with Milford Photo, your local full-service camera store. Located in downtown Milford, Connecticut, Milford Photo offers you a personalized shopping experience. From the latest camera gear to printing and framing services. And, of course, educational workshops to teach you the finer aspects of photography. Don't forget to tell them Duck sent you.